Well, a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Lords. Day 2 of this championship match against Leicestershire. It's actually the opening day, a washout on day 1. Real frustration here at the home of cricket for both sides yesterday. A day of rain, pretty much. The first 2 sessions washed out, and by the time the evening came around, it was all too late to get us started. But hopefully we are in for much better news today. Bright skies over Lords, blue skies, and hopefully an uninterrupted day today. Let's start, though, by looking ahead to the game with Richard Johnson, the head coach. He's been catching up with Middlesex's Steve Fletcher.
Richard Johnson, thanks for joining me. We come here fresh from a draw down in Bristol, where really strong performance from Middlesex. I guess we can consider ourselves a little unlucky not to have secured a victory there on the final day.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously losing the toss early on a pitch that we weren't sure about in terms of it was a hybrid, first time it's been used obviously. Weren't sure exactly what we were going to get, so we would have definitely bowled first, and they definitely ended up with the better conditions first innings. And I think coming back from a 100-run deficit in the way we did, we talked third morning about putting ourselves in a position to win the game on that third morning, and I thought the boys did brilliantly. Higo and Maxi especially did fantastically well to get us into a position to potentially win the game. And I think if weather, etc., hadn't have intervened, I think we were in a good position to try and really push on and win that game on the last day.
Absolutely. I'll come on to talk about Max and Higo in a moment. But what were your takings from the hybrid pitch? Because it looked to have spells where it was pretty dead, and then spells where it looked unbelievably lively.
Yeah, I think first innings it definitely bounced and seamed around a little bit, and it kept that sort of bounce pretty much through the game. If you're a tall bowler and hit the deck hard, then you got something out of it, more out of it than the others. But definitely the first innings it had some lateral movement as well, which probably died out as the game went on. So if you were tall and hit the wicket hard, you could still get that sort of tennis bally bounce. But it held up really well, and I thought it was a good pitch all round.
Bit of a game of two halves down there, Jono. I thought Gloucester probably shaded the first 2 days. How impressed were you with the way we bounced back from that and the resilience shown in that third innings?
Yeah, it's something we talk about as a group a lot over the last couple of years about setting the game up seems to be a bit more difficult for us. First innings to put our stamp on a game early is something we've got to get better at, and we talk about it and how we go about that, and it's something we're working hard towards. That particular wicket was tough, so yes, we still want more out of our batters in that situation, but when a game is set up and we know what we're trying to do second innings, and we're more used to the wicket and we understand where the game is, we seem to come into our own when the pressure's on in that situation. So it's something we're working on, but yeah, the character shown in the second innings, it's not easy going out when you're against behind the 8 ball, as they say, and we've shown some really good character over the last few games doing that as well. So yeah, very happy with that performance.
Good to hear. You mentioned Max and Higo earlier. Let's talk about Max first of all. Sensational start to the season for him. He's 430 odd runs, I think. He's hit 200s already this year. I think his last 100, I'm right in saying, and he probably won't thank me for saying this, was 2018. But he's hit an incredible patch of form early part of the season. You must be thrilled with how he's coming along. Yeah,
absolutely. Something's clicked with him. He tinkered a little bit technically early season in pre-season. And it seems to be really paying off at the moment. He looks a completely different player. He looks at ease. He looks very confident. He's always obviously had the ability to do that. But this little change he's made has really seemed to have resonated with him, and he's now full of confidence. And we're seeing the Max Holden that we always knew obviously was out there, that we've seen bits of over the years, but now we're starting to see the consistency that we knew, that hopefully was round the corner, which it is.
For sure. I guess Max really kind of epitomises what you've been saying to me for the last year or so, that we're looking to build a squad here which has kind of multi-format players in it that contribute with the red ball, contribute with the white ball. I guess Max took a lot of confidence into his own game from how he delivered last year in the white ball format, and he's obviously kind of propelled himself forward from that.
Yeah, we've spoken lots about it, as you say. We're in a position now as a club financially where we need more from our players in terms of both formats, and that's where we've got to drive the club now. We desperately want to be known as a white ball side, not just a red ball side, and to do that under restraints financially, we need players to be able to play both formats.
Yeah.
And you can see the way we're shaping the squad, that we're getting guys in that can do that as well, and the guys that we've already invested a lot of time and effort into also coming through that can do that as well. So yeah, it's definitely something we're conscious of and will continue to be moving forward.
Well, another one who does this in spades is Ryan Higgins. Again, a fantastic start to the season for Higo. He's kind of carried on from where he was last year, where he was just Mr. Consistent and played such an important role. He's obviously been shortlisted for the Player of the Month award for the PCA award, which is fantastic news for him. How important is someone like Higo in this side?
Incredibly, his figures show that, but not just that, just the way he goes about everything, his leadership qualities behind the scenes. The way he drives the team with bat and ball. There's hardly an innings that passes that he doesn't do something, with either bat, ball, or in the field. So he's crucial to what we're trying to do here. And long may it continue. Here goes the type of cricketer that you don't want to rest, you don't want to leave out. But we've got to monitor him and we've got to keep him going as long as we can, and hopefully get a full season out of him again. But I think he played every single day cricket last year, and hopefully we'll get something like that this year as well. But he's a machine, but we've got to look after him at the same time.
Jono, a quick one on Leicestershire Deploy, who obviously stepped in as captain in the last game. Leicestershire obviously has got good captaincy experience coming from Derbyshire, where he skippered I think for 3 years. When Toby's taking a rest and you're rotating those seamers, must be really good for you to have someone like Leicestershire to come in who's got that experience and that quality as a captain to come in and just fill the boots. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, we're blessed with, we've used Rocky in the past, we've used Esky in the past, and now we've got Lewis, and he was great. He's a very positive-minded captain. He sets an example. You can see the way he bats, the way he bowls. He's all action. He wants to be a part of everything, but he's also got a really good, clear thinking brain on him as well. So he plays the game really well. So to have him, Toby, then Esky, Rocky, all these guys, senior players, being able to contribute and really help, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well, is a huge contributing factor for the club moving forward.
Looking at Sam Robson, obviously missed the last 3 games with a broken thumb, or fractured thumb should I say, just the tip of. Good to see Sam come back to fitness first and foremost, and then obviously back to form with the 2s this week. We've talked before about players knocking on the door and grabbing their opportunities and then pushing for places back in this first 11. Good to have Robbo doing exactly that down in Kent this week.
He's a brilliant example of what you want from a senior player. Gets an injury, goes to the second team, scores 100, comes back in the squad for this week. It's something you want your young players to see and strive to be. It's not always easy in the second team. You're not always on good pitches. You can lose a bit of concentration, but he always seems to, whenever he has played a second team game, always seems to find a way of scoring 100. And it's a great role model for the younger lads and the other guys in the second team, that this guy can drop down, get his 100 and come back in again. So yeah, he's good to go, I think, as far as I'm aware. He's having a practice again today, so yeah, he'll be back in the squad.
Nice to hear. Jono, we've got Leicester here on Friday. Leicester sit top of the table. It's a tightly congested table at the moment. We're only 4 games in. I think 5 points separate the top 4. First and foremost, your thoughts on Lords. They produced 2 fantastic cricket wickets for the first 2 games. I guess more of the same.
Yeah, we've told Carl all along, produce the best wickets he can, and we'll play on what he produces, sort of thing. And so far they've been really good. We've been very happy, and yeah, good to go. Leicester obviously a hard-working team. They bat all the way down. They've got some good players in there, so it'll be a tough challenge. But we're here at home, playing on a ground that we know very well, playing on a wicket we know well. So we're coming into this full of confidence to try and get a positive result.
Absolutely. Well, Jono, thanks so much for your time. All the very best luck over the next 4 days, and go well.
Thank you.
So, Richard Johnson speaking to Stephen Fletcher ahead of the match. Delighted to say I've got Alan Coleman, the Director of Cricket. I at least got your title right, if not your name. Alongside myself, Kevin Hands, this morning for this one. We'll start with where the guys left off on the video, and that was all about this. Ryan Higgins has won the PCA Player of the Month for April 2024. A very, very well-deserved prize for Higo.
Yes, Kev, it very much is. Ryan's been outstanding since he's returned to Middlesex from Gloucestershire, obviously a couple of years ago, but this year just 2 runs short now of 450 runs. He's made a double 100, he's scored another score of over 100, he's been truly outstanding, and he's taken 9 wickets as well. And in addition to that, a wonderful influence around the changing room. So delighted for Ryan, great that he's received this accolade as voted for by the members and supporters. So well done to the Middlesex members and supporters who clicked on and voted for Ryan as well, but a hugely deserved award for a very popular member of the squad.
And all the members of the Higgins family as well. So.
Yeah, I suspect there's a few in Zimbabwe who voted for him.
How's the vote for Director of the Cricket of the Month going?
Yeah,
the Coleman family tapping away at home?
Yeah, pretty poor.
We've got cricket today. There's blue skies outside, which it was a hugely frustrating day today. As much as it's been really a hugely frustrating start to the season with weather.
It was, yeah. The right decision was made in the end. Obviously, a huge amount of band of rain that just went across London and just seemed to stay there all day, really, and didn't move until sort of tea time. Obviously, by that point, would take Carl McDermott and his team an hour and a half or a couple of hours to clean up, and then you might only get half an hour of cricket before the light comes in. So a sensible decision made, frustrating day, but great that we're out there, sunny skies at Lords, and great to get the game underway.
Actually could have been a difficult one in the evenings for either side that lost the toss last night. It could have been a tricky one sent out there under those skies, but instead toss comes around next morning, probably, well, blue sky thinking.
Yeah, I think so. I think the pitch has been undercover now for a couple of days with a bit of rain around in London, and undercover all day yesterday. So I think from that perspective, making the decision to bowl first was probably quite an easy one from Toby Rowland-Jones. Often here you do say look up before you look down, but the fact it's been undercover for so long has probably made that decision quite easy.
Toby Rowland-Jones back. Tom Hill misses out on this one. Josh Carey's misses out. Sam Robson's back as well. 2 very big names. 2 title winners. The last 2 title winners coming back into the side.
And it just shows, I think, that there's strength in depth in the Middlesex squad, in that these players can change in and out, be rested or rotated in and out of the side, and the team still looks as strong as it does. So huge credit to the group of players that are here representing Middlesex, and I think we're in for a fantastic 3 days of cricket now.
Well, there's the picture out in the middle. The players are lining up, as you can see. Very sadly, of course, there was the news this week that Josh Baker has passed away, the Worcestershire cricketer. Very, very sad news. The passing of the promising young player who was lost to us this week. Players are lining up now outside of the pavilion, both counties, Leicestershire and Middlesex. And there will be a moment's silence held with the ringing of the 5-minute bell. So yes, there's a big screen here at Lords, blacked out. Josh Baker, who sadly passed away early this week, and of course the thoughts of everybody at Middlesex County Cricket Club at the MCC with Josh's family. A sad, sad time now.
It is a very sad time for Josh's family, his friends, and all of the players and staff at Worcestershire County Cricket Club as well. Josh, seemingly a very popular member of the squad there, a young man Middlesex members may remember in 2021. Played a fantastic innings here in September, 61 or 51 balls in a low scoring game, which made a massive contribution to Worcestershire cricket and had a hugely bright future ahead of him. So incredibly sad news, and as we say, our thoughts with his family, his friends, and everyone connected with Worcestershire County Cricket Club at this very sad time.
Thoughts as well with the family of Bob Hunt, who passed away this week, the Gloucestershire commentator of many, many years, and certainly a friend to the mic here at Middlesex. Had some wonderful days on the mic, covering Middlesex and Gloucestershire games, and a Barnet boy as well, Bob. A dear, dear friend, and thoughts with Bob's family as well on his sad passing early this week, which came just after Middlesex's trip down to Gloucestershire indeed. Some happy memories, very happy memories indeed over the years with Bob. So, cricket is underway, a game that both loved and both enjoyed greatly, and black armbands worn by both the sides for this one, of course, in remembrance of the passing of Josh Baker. But it will be Middlesex out there in the middle to bowl first, so Patel and Harris go to open up, a big opening pair, and of course a big name coming in just down the order as well for Leicestershire, the returning Middlesex, or former Middlesex captain.
It is a strong looking Leicester batting lineup. I think they've batted very well so far in the games that Leicestershire have played this year. High scoring, lots of high scoring draws, played 4, drawn 4 with lots of high scoring draws. So lots of quality through the order, as you mentioned. Marcus Harris here, Rishi Patel on the striker's end, known to those that watch a lot of second team cricket, played a lot of second team cricket for Essex, having grown up there. So lots of quality through the innings, and as you say, Pete Hanscom, former Middlesex captain, it's been coming in the middle order, so expect to see him in a few wickets time. But a high quality batsman and a fantastic man and very popular member of the Middlesex group.
Ethan Bamber is running in to bowl from the nursery end to get this game underway. 4 slips in place, and it's Bamber to Patel to get us underway. Little use of the feet for Patel to push that one away into the offsides. Bamber didn't feel he was at his best down at Bristol the other day, and I spoke to him on the second evening of the game, I think it was. Said they didn't quite feel on top form. I know that Middlesex felt that they'd lost that middle session of the day, just let the runs get away from them a little bit, but came back very strongly against Gloucestershire in the 3rd innings of the match. Clipped to a very straight line from Patel, picks up a single, first run of the match, down to Brooks down at long leg. Yeah, we touched on the Middlesex changes with Roland Jones and Robson back. Obviously a huge name to have back in the side. Sam Robson just in the bottom of our picture there, walking from right to left. He was up here for the Yorkshire game indeed, doing assistant commentary and tossing the ball to Toby Roland Jones, who also sat out the game down at Gloucestershire. Touching back on that one for Leicestershire fans as well, for their interest, it was a hybrid pitch of course at Bristol, which introduced its own challenges and certainly left a few talking points, but I think overall a positive impression. But let's see the first ball to Harris first, a man who has some fine form against Middlesex. That's a beautiful ball first up from Bamber. Played late by Harris, over the top of it. All the usual, give yourself every chance. Soft hands, angled bat. He picks up a couple to get underway. But just back to Bristol first, Coley, if we may. Thoughts on the hybrid?
I think the consensus was that it made it quite a good game of cricket, and we've seen obviously early season a couple of games that were very batter heavy. The bowlers dominated game 3 at Lords against Yorkshire from both teams, so actually I think it created a little bit of balance between bat and ball. And I think that the bounce that we saw, the extra pace that the Gloucestershire bowlers have over the Middlesex bowlers, you would say as a collective, they were able to generate a bit more bounce out of the surface. Tom Helm obviously got a couple to bounce. One of the dismissals in the second innings was one that bounced from back of a length. So yeah, all in all a good experiment I think, and one perhaps persisting with it. It'd been interesting to see how we've played all 4 days without any interruptions, what would have happened to the pitch. The hybrids do generally dry out quicker than a normal pitch. Bit of carry there for Bamber. Talking about bounce, Jack Davies with the gloves on for Middlesex, just taking that at shoulder high. But yeah, I think, as I was saying, the hybrid pitches generally dry out a bit faster than the traditional pitches. So it would have been interesting to see, had it have spun and would it have continued to sort of spin as the game progressed, had we have played the full allocation of overs down in Bristol.
Oh, wraps on the pads, but right arm around to the left-hander. With the slope going from right to left on the screen that you're looking, it's a pretty hard one to pick up that. For Bamber, it was just an excitable yelp from the Middlesex seamer. 3 for no wicket.
Yeah, just like you there, Kev. Just clearing his vocal cords, I think. Just warming himself up for the day. That one hits Harris on the thigh pad. Going over, going down, not much in it. But just a chance for the young Middlesex seamer just to loosen himself up for hopefully some subsequent appeals to follow.
Hopefully I cleared my vocal cords off the mic there. Apologies if not. Toby Rowland-Jones. He would have been useful down at Bristol. I said hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? One of the great things about Toby Rowland-Jones over the years is the extra bounce that he gets. And of course at Bristol for DeLanger in the first innings in particular with the 6 wickets for the South African, it was the bounce that really made the difference.
It was, and Toby's been known as a bowler over the years who's been able to generate that extra bounce and seam movement, especially from these Lord's surfaces. So I'm sure he'd have been a handful on a hybrid pitch as he is on most.
There's the start, that's where he wants to be. Gently forward, Patel using that one into the offside. 4 slips waiting, Middlesex on the attack, on the hunt here this morning. Having won the toss. A few eyebrows were raised when the call was made because everybody looked up and not down. But I guess when there's 3 days left of the match, then 40 wickets, if you're batting first, you're effectively needed 40 wickets to fall in the game, or going very, very big in the first innings and batting once. That's punched away beautifully on the up. Lovely shot by Patel. He's not going to get full reward for it. It's a massive boundary out to the grandstand for this one. But nicely riding that bounce of Rowland-Jones that we talked about. Driving on the up is not something you often do to Toby Rowland-Jones.
It isn't. Very nicely controlled shot into the big offside boundary, as you say, up to the grandstand. This pitch just further towards the home changing room. So that side of the ground, the tavern, the mound side of the ground. So a big boundary to the offside, but Patel up to the task there.
Good stop by Davis. They'll get through for a bite, which will disappoint the keeper, but realistically he's saved 4 there, or saved 3. It was a ball down the leg side with the slope that was ever going further down the slope.
The challenges of keeping wicket at Lords on these pitches when they do bounce and carry through. The ball wobbles around. Now, obviously they're going down the leg side, keeper unsighted, but yeah, did well to get some hands on it there to stop what would have been a certain 4 runs.
Harris's first ball to Rowland-Jones, still 4 slips, points, cover, point mid-off, my apologies, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Decent length to Harris. Goodness me, that's a beautiful sight, isn't it? Look at those staggered clouds after the views of yesterday, but in general that's a beautiful sight nonetheless. Over Lords, a cracking shot that is.
Yeah, nice to see a bit of blue sky. I'm not sure how long it lasts today. I think the cloud does come in, doesn't it, through the afternoon, so I think enjoy some morning sunshine while we get it at Lords, but beautiful sight as ever, the home of cricket.
That's a lovely shot. Beautiful timing by Harris. We talked about that big boundary. There's no catching that one. First boundary of the innings for Leicestershire.
Rowland-Jones just straying straight here from Harris. That ball just tailing down the leg side.
That's a lovely shot. Beautiful timing by Harris. We talked about that big boundary. There's no catching that one.
Beautifully timed shot that leaps over the rope for 4 runs. Lovely start for the Australian left-hander opening the batting for Leicestershire today.
Yeah, Harris and Ackerman went well in the chase up at Grace Road, didn't they, a couple of years back? One of the record chases up there. Richard Ray and I were sat there going through the record books. I remember that day. Nice use of the feet again from Patel here to Bamber, which is quite pronounced early from the Leicestershire opener. No ball called.
Just a single from Patel, just pushed into the offside there. Patel still using his feet here, getting out of the crease to Bamber, bowling from the nursery end. You can see just behind the stumps there on that image, Jack Davies with his helmet just positioned behind him there. So I suspect that will already be in the young wicketkeeper's mind as to whether he comes up to the stumps to stop Patel advancing down the pitch.
Edged! Through it goes. In between second and third. Not sure it would have quite carried, even if third had have got all the way across. Moral victory for the bowler early in the morning.
Probably the first signs of encouragement here for Middlesex on day 2 morning. Bamber full length delivery. Harris just having a push outside off stump. Just beats Ryan Higgins just below his right hand. Very tough chance there, down low to the right. Harris with 4 through third man takes the Leicestershire score onto 17.
Nice finish from Bamber into the over. Boundary coming off it, but indeed a moral victory for Bamber. No ball at the start as well will frustrate Ethan, but 17 without loss after 3 Leicestershire. Have a look at their team for this one, Middlesex. We'll start with the hosts and then go through Leicestershire in full as well. So Middlesex, as I mentioned, Robson, Stoneman, Holden, Deploy, Higgins, Eskenazi, Fernandez, Davies the wicket-keeper, Roland Jones the captain, Brooks and Bamber. Leicestershire, Patel, Harris out to open, Kimber in at 3, Hill at 4, Pete Hanscom at 5, Rahan Ahmed in for this one, Cox the wicket-keeper, Ben Mike, Green, Scriven and Curry for Leicestershire. No Josh Hull for this one. There was a lot of chatter ahead of the game about the 6'7", 19-year-old left armour. Really exciting prospect. But Leicestershire decided not to bring the 19-year-old in for this one. There was a lot of excitement, I must say, ahead of this game about seeing him. Prospects, 6'7", left armour, Lords. Probably a few Middlesex batters quite happy he's not playing. Left armers do tend to go well here.
They do, and a young bowler with a huge amount of potential already, I'm sure, being monitored by the England scouts out and about watching.
It's a lovely shot by Patel, and he will get 4 for it this time. He hit one on the up in Roland Jones's previous over. Gentle push that was up the slope. This one storms to the highest part of the ground at the Warner stand for 4.
Patel with a similar shot in the last over as well to Roland Jones, just a touch short and wide there from Roland Jones, but
it's a lovely shot by Patel.
Patel
He will
on
get
top
4
of the
for it
bounce.
this time. He hit one.
Very well controlled shot up to the vacant extra cover boundary. There's a huge gap there. Only 2 fielders on the offside for Middlesex. 1 at point, excluding the slips. 1 at point and 1 at mid off. Patel able to find the gap.
Oh, that's a beautiful clip down the slope. That's a hard chase for Ethan Bamber, which he's never going to win. Brooks, my apologies, which he's never going to win either. Roland Jones asked Brooks to go a little bit finer.
Successive boundaries for Leicestershire and for Rishi Patel. Slight overcorrection there from Roland Jones, just hunting the front pad and the stumps, but very well clipped away down to the shorter side towards the mound stand and the ground stand. Tavern stand, sorry.
We've had a few glimpses already, but just a reflection on how big a boundary it is to the Warner stand away to the right of the screen there. The Tavern is the far left, the Allen in between, touching the pavilion, then the mound is below the screen to the left. There it goes to the big boundary again. There'll be a chance to catch this one. Stoneman giving chase from point. Holds them to a couple. He's done well there. To hold them to 2. End of the over. 27 without loss, Leicestershire. First look at the ball for the umpire. A little bit of stitching. Scissors out, umps.
Toby Roland Jones, Middlesex captain, just having a good push at the seam there, trying to demonstrate something to umpire Rob White. Rob White, batter for Northampton, probably not too sympathetic about the condition of the ball. Tosses it back to Bamber. Get on with it, young man.
Nice looking shot. Harris, who offered that edge in the previous over to Bamber. This time in behind and pushing to mid-off. Oh, umpires are having to have a look. Who chooses the ball at the beginning? Is it the umpire or is it the captain of the bowling side?
One of the bowlers for the bowling side will go in and choose the ball. Not always the captain. Tim Murtagh generally was the one who used to go in and choose the ball, and it created a bit of an issue because Mertz obviously was often number 11, would be one of the last men out, would have to run up, take his pads off, run into the umpire's room to pick a ball, then run down and get himself loose before bowling the first over. So it created quite a hectic 10 minutes. But Paul Baldwin on the left there, umpire, and Rob White on the right of screen, just will delve into the box of 12 spares and pull out something that's very, very new, I would imagine. I suspect, though, Middlesex will be very, very interested in what ball's chosen here, because generally spare balls are a little bit older than 25 balls old, which is, or 26 because Bamber bowled an extra. So we've had 26 balls. and they're hoping to find something that's very, very new.
Something of a gamble from Middlesex to go against the one they've got in hand.
I don't know. Joe Cracknell's having a good say there, isn't he? He's trying to ensure that the newest ball is taken out of that box. Hopefully the Middlesex 12th man for today has done his job.
And these are balls from the net. It's your responsibility to provide these ones, isn't it? The box of balls?
Yeah, I put them in the umpire's room, but yeah, we create a box of balls and then...
So you know, have you got one that's 25 balls old?
Yeah, there's one fairly new in there, but I don't know if it's 25 balls old. But yeah, generally you...
6 3/4 maybe.
Generally what you do is you sort of work through a few in nets, and then while the games are going on, you top up and try and create a balance of balls that will reflect what is needed between over number 1 and over number 80 or 90 or whenever the ball might be changed. So quite a tricky task actually, especially now we've got 2 different types of balls that we're playing with. So and then you have your white balls as well. So it is a tricky task ensuring that you get some good spares, especially when those years where we've changed lots of balls. A couple of years ago here we kept changing the ball at about 30 overs old, didn't we?
Pushed right up there from Bamber to see what there is in it. If there's anything through the air. You wouldn't expect much this morning with the overheads. The pitch for this one, it's a beautiful straw colour, isn't it? Covers came off this morning, finally. It was a fair old bit of green on there, but shorn nicely by Carl and his staff down below. It looks an absolute belter.
Yeah, I think the trouble that the groundsmen are having at the moment is just the lack of sunshine to really dry them out, and trying to inject some pace into them. But yeah, having a day under cover and that the pitch was, well, credit to the ground staff here. I think I got here at 7:45 this morning and the covers were already off, trying to get some air to the pitch, and the ground staff have obviously cut and given it a good roll as well this morning, just to ensure that it's ready for play. Incredibly tough job given the day yesterday as well, out there in the rain, trying to keep the water off the covers as much as they could.
I see him behind that one. It does appear, you mentioned the pace, it does appear as though these two have mostly been able to get forward on the front foot and play it with a little bit of time early on, which again perhaps goes to Middlesex's theory of best chance to get at them is first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Middlesex theory here, winning the toss bowl, hopefully bat well and bat big in the second innings of the game.
Now, goodness me, that's a ball and a half from Bamber. We talked about Patel getting forward and finding a little bit of time. There was no time, no room on that one at all. And Patel falls for 14. A beaut from Bamber.
It really was a beauty. The final ball of Bamber's third over. Middlesex probably struggled for line, you would say, this morning. Neither Bamber or Roland Jones have really hit a consistent line to threaten the batters forward defensive. Bamber here with a beauty. Slight angle in. Nips back up the slope, off the pad, onto off stump. Would that have been out LBW as well?
Oh, it would have been tight, you know. This will give us an idea. I reckon it was umpire's call.
Oh, I think you might have to get off the fence there, Kev.
Clipping top of leg and middle.
Is that two? Does that count as 2 wickets? We introduce a new
Well,
law.
I did pause at first to see if it was a celebrity appeal. I wasn't sure that the bails had come off. I thought he was going for LBW. And I think at first he was preparing to.
He was. I think it'd have been a decent LBW shout. That one's just nipped back up the slope. The trick, Middlesex have seen that for years, and people watching at Lords have seen for years. Tim Murtagh from this end, as much of a threat, nipping the ball back up the slope as moving it away. And Bamber harnessing some of that there with that delivery, which did nip back into Patel's front pad and then obviously flicked onto the stump. So fine piece of bowling and a good Middlesex wicket. I thought Patel looked very controlled there, played some beautiful shots, especially through the offside. So and made a very good start there, 14 off 17 balls. So a good time for the Middlesex bowlers to enter the fray.
And here comes Kimber out to enter the fray for Leicestershire. Part of that top three a couple of years back here. Faced Middlesex in 2022. Shaheen Shah Afridi bursting in from the pavilion end. I think Kimber was his third wicket that morning. That's the end of the over though, so Kimber has to wait. Harris and Roland Jones come up against each other again.
And I think that's the movement that Toby Roland Jones winning the toss would have been hoping for. That the ball would nip around, this new ball would nip around and be able to exploit the conditions of this pitch that's been under cover for a couple of days. A fine piece of bowling from Bamber there.
That's nicely clipped off the pads. Think about two, they'll come back for them. Fernandez charges in to collect. Top of the table, of course, Leicestershire, without a win so far, but the table toppers arrive at Lords with, well, again, you know, if they come out of this one undefeated, be it a win or a draw, it's a pretty healthy points return for the Foxes at the start of the season.
And naturally, the points have gone back up for the draw. They were dropped down to 5 for last year. They've been pushed back up to 8 again, so huge value in ensuring you can secure a result. If you can add some bonus points to that as well. Well bowled from Roland Jones, just finding his radar here a little bit, threatening Marcus Harris's off stump. Good judgment there with a lead from the Australian left-hander. And those batting and bowling points, obviously as crucial as always, as they always are in county championship cricket. Subject of much debate as to where they should be set and how many you should get for each skill.
Oh, what a ball! Goodness me, it's gone through. Well, they'd have seen it late as he got squared up by that one, Harris. It's a second edge for the Australian this morning, but it's a huge disappointment for Roland Jones.
And huge disappointment for Middlesex wicketkeeper Jack Davies here as well, you would say. This ball flies between first slip and the wicketkeeper. Very quick edge. Takes the outside edge. Beautiful piece of bowling there.
Keeper's catch, isn't it?
I think Eskenazi's got a hand on it, hasn't he, there? But you would say that that's got to be the wicketkeeper going for it and taking control.
And it could be followed by a 4. How often does that happen? It was a 4 itself anyway for Harris. It'll be kept in by Bamber. It'll add to the frustration of Roland Jones. A couple more to end the over then. 36 for 1. That man won't be impressed by it. One little bit. But sharp chance to Eskenazi. The rule generally is if slip's going towards the keeper, it was keeper's catch, and slip is there to pretty much be in their own channel, aren't they? Between the keeper and between second.
And you can see from Davies's reaction that he was disappointed, and the young wicketkeeper there would have expected to take control in that situation, you would say. Obviously Eskenazi ended up diving towards him to his right. But I think you'll just see on this image here that that's one where Davies, as you can see from his reaction, Davies thinking he should take control of that situation. First look at Kimber here for Bamber. Wicket with the final ball of his final over, and that could have been 2 there for Middlesex in 2 overs. Could be ruining that missed opportunity later on today.
That's nicely done from Kimber. First ball. 27 years of age now, Louis Kimber. First class average with a bat of 25, 1 century and 8 50s in 42 innings. 25 years of age, Ethan Bamber. You're talking about Tim Mercer there in the nursery and exploits. It was around Bamber's age really when Mercer arrived at Middlesex. Then took a couple of years but came into his own. Oh, now that's going to be close. It's gone. There is a moment's pause to wonder whether it struck outside the line of off, but Harris departs, and the couple of edges he's offered aren't too costly for Middlesex, as Bamber has his second wicket of the morning. Relief, I'd imagine, in that pack for Middlesex.
Some huge relief, I think, there, Kev, in the Middlesex group. Bamber around the wicket to left-handed Harris. Shape in from the right-handed bowler. Harris across his stumps. And a very, very good shout from Middlesex, and I think Harris knew there. He knew he was in trouble, didn't even need to turn around to see the umpire.
Only doubt would have been had he got outside the line, but I think this one will give us the fair effect exactly there.
Yeah,
that
good,
he wasn't. Really
good decision from umpire Rob White, who you can see on the screen there. Didn't take him long. And a sigh of relief from Eskenazi Davies and Captain Roland Jones that Bamber's picked up the Australian left-hander.
So celebrations for Middlesex. And any concerns about batting under blue skies have perhaps been backed up already. 2 wickets in the opening 7 overs and a couple of edges as well. Could have been a lot worse for Leicestershire, but the man who offered both edges indeed was Harris. You can't quite look at it that way, but Kimber and Hill come together with Hanscom next. And Middlesex will be desperate to make the most of winning this toss. Some saw as brave, going in with ball this morning. We were just about touching on it though, weren't we, in terms of the time lost and any further time lost in the game, that really, if you're going to be positive and try and drive the game, how big a part did that play really in the decision to field first for Middlesex?
Yeah, I think you never want to plan the game in too much detail, but I think that the fact that yesterday was completely rained out, Monday could be a challenge weather-wise as well. Get out there, Middlesex, get out there, get amongst the Leicestershire batters, try and make the best of these early morning conditions and set the game up well. That's definitely the ethos from the Middlesex team.
The ball first up to Hill. Asking him to get forward and across to it, as he did and matched it well.
Middlesex will have identified this partnership as quite a big moment now. Kimber and Hill with Hanscom in next, trying to get the Australian overseas batter in as early as possible against this new ball will be key, or could be key, to Middlesex progressing in this game in the way that they would like. So if Middlesex can remove Hill or Kimber here quite quickly and get at Hanscom with the new ball, they'll be pleased with their morning's work.
That's a lovely ball from Bamber. Hill goes forward again, a long way across, worried about Bamber bringing it back up that slope. And now Middlesex have their tails up and plenty of questions to ask that outside edge. And indeed the inside edge, as Patel found. Inside edge beat him. Top of the pad taken as the ball went on to bowl him. Bamber critical of himself at Bristol. Good start here this morning at Lord's. Two fresh batters in the middle. Just what Middlesex would have wanted early this morning. Just drifts a little bit too straight. That's a nice turn from Hill to get off the mark and pick up a couple. End of the 7th. 37, 39 indeed now for 2. And it's 2 down because Harris was LBW to Bamba for 19. Joe Cracknell there with the sunglasses on, who we saw earlier, helping the umpires with the box of balls, running out something to the middle. Not a bad day to be 12th. Of course he'd like to be playing, but not a bad day to be 12th man with glorious conditions at Lord's. Looks like he's going to go and sit out on the bench down below the home dressing room on the balcony just behind Toby Rowley-Jones there. There's the spot. It's pretty much where he wants to stay, isn't it? There or thereabouts. Ask Bamba if he wants to try and score off stump. By all means, go for it.
Yeah, grew into his spell in the last over, captain for Middlesex, Toby Rowland-Jones, and we're hoping to clip the edge here of Kimber. But as I said early on, just probably struggled for line a touch. Missed on both sides, was clipped by Patel and was punched through the offside from wide. Rowland-Jones will be looking to home into that back of a length, top of off stump spot.
That's clipped nicely, just a little bit too full on that occasion. Scoring off the stumps from there isn't such a big challenge. Kimber's first boundary. I'll feel a little bit better.
On first glance, a very nicely timed shot from Louis Kimber here. Yeah, full delivery from Rowland-Jones, just drifting into leg stump. Kimber very well controlled on top of the half volley. Waited for that to reach him and clipped it beautifully up through straight mid wicket for 4 runs.
Good leave, there we go. It's more perhaps accustomed to Toby Rowland-Jones' channel, isn't it? Just outside off. He'll want to be, as he was the first ball of the over, that little bit fuller, that little bit straighter on the off stump. That was slightly, if there was a criticism at Bristol, that Middlesex didn't quite hit the off stump enough. They were a little bit too much in the channel or offering scoring shots.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Middlesex probably not quite hit their straps with the ball in any game so far, barring a couple of periods against Yorkshire where obviously we're able to pick up a few wickets in quite quick succession. But the bowling attack and the bowling unit at Middlesex do pride themselves on their performance and their especially their accuracy. We'll be looking to be at the Leicestershire batters here.
That's nicely played by Kimber. Just runs it down. Come back for the third. The gentle run down to deep third. Rowland-Jones, who was rested, rotated out for the game at Bristol. Rotated back in with Tom Helm rested for this one. End of the 8th. 46 for 2. Leicestershire so far, they opened with a draw against Yorkshire at Headingley. Draw at home against Sussex. Those are the 2 Kookaburra rounds. The first innings of the 2 matches. Leicestershire 354, Yorkshire 464 for 6 declared. The weather playing its part as well as the Kookaburra in that opening round. The second round with the Kookaburra, Leicestershire 338 all out. Sussex 694 for 9 declared. I don't think we need to go much further in that game. Just about made it into the 3rd innings, but those are the Kookaburra rounds. Draw at Derbyshire, where Leicestershire went really well in that game. Skittle the host for 167, posted 574 for 7 declared themselves in the first innings. Harris, who's been and gone, hit 214. Star of the show, Hanscom with 68, Cox 69. Hill 47 in that innings. Ben Mike down the order with 49 off 41, a dangerous customer. As Middlesex well know, Merchant Taylor's a couple of years ago, threw the bat for a little while. It's like the Stephen Eskenazi match when he was wheelbarrowed out. In fact, well done. He could have pulled me out an hour of that. He also got 99 here. I think he went well down at Merchant Taylor's as well, don't he? I seem to remember him doing something at that one. That was the Eskenazi match where he came out on one leg, didn't he, in the second innings. Stephen Eskenazi in that. But you're absolutely right. Ben Mike also got the 99 here in that Shaheen Shah Afridi match. Bumped up to Roland Jones at mid-off, but nicely timed. That'll have felt sweet for Kimber. Yeah, Skittle Derbyshire for 167 in the first innings of that one, Derby, and then 2-2-4 for 6 to save the game, Derbyshire in their second innings. Where Madsen with 59 from 216 minutes. Oh, quick single! Comes Fernandez from point. Just didn't quite gather it cleanly for the underarm throw. I think they'd have been okay, but he'd have been keen to test it nonetheless. Last up for Leicestershire was the draw against Northamptonshire. These two went pretty well. Kimber 65 from 90 balls. Hill 26 from 48, coming in at number 4. 50 partnership for the third wicket. They were 57 for 2 when Patel fell for 29. Harris had gone cheaply in that one. Never made it into the second innings that game. Leicestershire 452 for 8 declared, following Northamptonshire's 453 for 7 declared. It's a good ball again from Bamba. It's not too far off from the one that picked up Patel. Just testing that inside edge. Good stride in from Hill.
I think that's been my big standout for this morning, is the Leicestershire batters who've got a big stride in and look to get down the pitch and get forward have probably dealt with the conditions a little more easily than those that have sat in their crease. Saw it from Patel very early on, down the pitch and a big stride in. Kimber, obviously a tall batter as well, able to get a good stride into the Middlesex opening bowlers.
Gentle offering up to mid-on to end the over. 9 gone. 47 for 2. 40 minutes on the board already. That's me. There's the Leicestershire card. With Patel and Harris both falling to Bamba. Harris LBW Bamba for 19. Bamba bowls Bamba for 14. So Roland Jones is done. Number 31 from 4. Ryan Higgins is being given a throw at the pavilion end, replacing the skipper. Just offered a few too many scoring shots. Skipper brings himself out. Might have a change up of ends, but an offering to Higgins, the PCA Player of the Month for April, as we established before the start of the play, that lovely shiny trophy.
I think it's been stolen. It was on the desk here next to you, Kev.
I don't think we were trusted with it. Our trophy cabinets are full at home. They should have known that. Didn't have any room for another edition. Would have been very safe. Talks about the recovery at Bristol for Middlesex. A big part of that was Max Holden and Ryan Higgins with the bat in that third innings. put Middlesex in a position where, were there a couple of innings still to go, a couple of sessions still to go of the match. I think probably there's more than nearly a day lost in total, wasn't there? But even a couple of sessions more, it would have been a pretty decent turnaround shaping up for Middlesex in that one.
Set up for a brilliant game of cricket, wasn't it? Middlesex set a good run chase for Gloucestershire.
Clipped nicely, and a no ball called as well. It's a good stop. Ethan Bamba.
Yeah, I think that with for those who watched on the stream, the boundaries were pulled in quite a lot straight down the ground at both ends at Bristol, and it made, I think, the run chase a difficult one for Middlesex to set, especially given that Middlesex had ended the first innings over 100 runs behind Gloucestershire as well, and although they played fantastically well, you'd be loath to get yourself back into the game and then give an easy run chase as well, and that was part of the conundrum that coach Richard Johnson and Toby Rowland-Jones had to navigate. Catch.
Edged and taken at the third attempt at slip. Third time lucky for Stephen Eskenazi. 2 grabs at it, and everybody held their breath on that third one. But the hand of celebration went up, and Eskenazi emerges with the ball to his relief, and to the relief of the rest of his teammates as well. Leicestershire in trouble though. Hill goes for 2. 50 for 3.
Well, this could be a difficult one to describe, I think, and it will be from this angle as well. But Higgins, Fulham wide there to Hill. Hill has a big drive at it. Eskenazi parries it, props it up. I don't know where he's caught it, but somehow the Middlesex first slip manages to hang on. We'll get a good view of it here.
Just a grab with the 2 as he went down in the end.
There's plenty going on there, but it's 50 for 3 anyway, and Ryan Higgins picks up a first wicket in his first over. Let's have another look at that. Just seeing this angle, see what Eskenazi actually catches it with. There's a parry, and he's caught it between his legs. I'm pretty sure the ball's not in his hand, he's caught it between his leg.
He looks pretty sheepish, doesn't he, as he gets up in the end, having put his hand up at first. He looks quite sheepish there, doesn't he?
And there's the bowler, Higgins. Oh no, oh yes. Great mates, Eskenazi and Higgins, very good friends.
Well, they are again now. For
and
a split second there they weren't.
They had a brief break up and they're back together, it looks like.
Could have had another break up there. Here he comes, the former Middlesex captain, Pete Hanscom. Very, very popular man at Leicestershire, as he was here at Middlesex. He is a fine cricketer. Didn't see the best of him with the bats in his time with Middlesex. But he's showing Leicestershire exactly what he's about. When Middlesex did see the best of him, it was in the dressing room. We can come back to that and the influence he had as captain. But as a batter, here's that distinctive style we're about to see. Those bat taps, a very deliberate drag back of the bat before the bowler bowls. Oh, that'll feel good for Hanscom. Full face of the bat, gentle push. As your fitness, Sam Robson, after a few weeks out. Pete Hanscom, as fit as they come, off the mark with 3.
I think just after that one, Higgins, although Hanscom not on strike now, I think Higgins gave keeper Jack Davies a little signal there to say, I need you to come up to the stumps. Hanscom advancing down the pitch there, trying to take the bowled and the LBW out of the equation.
A little tickle for Kimball, give Hanscom back the strike against Higgins, who the one to come over the pair didn't overlap. Higgins came back to Middlesex at the end of Hanscom's last season. By that point, he'd already departed to return to Australia. There was an Australia A call up for him.
I think if I remember rightly, he went to Sri Lanka with Australia A. He had a fantastic winter 2021-22 in Australia. Was due to come back for his second year as Middlesex captain, but unfortunately for Middlesex, called up for Australia.
End of the over, 54 for 3. That's for the wicket of Hill, gone for 2. Caught Eskenazi just off the bowling of Higgins. 2 from 8. The powerhouse for Leicestershire for them at the moment is their batting. That's where Middlesex will fancy if they can get in amongst them this morning. There is that third one, just drawn into it outside of the off stump. But we focused a lot on the catch, but the ball full of length outside off, just too early in the innings for Hill, perhaps.
It was just threw his hands at that wider delivery there from Higgins. A bit of swing took it away up the slope, the thick outside edge. And as Jake behind us has just pointed out, it was caught between his knees.
Nice start again from Bamba, straight into that channel. His 6th over, so he's probably got at least one more in him. 2 for 15 in his 6th. Bamba.
I suspect this may be a moment where Captain Roland Jones might have to prise the ball out of Bamba's hand. Always loves a long spell, never wants to be taken off, doesn't matter how tired he is. Very traditional workhorse type opening bowler for Middlesex.
How does the analysis back that up for Bamba? Does he end the spell better, start the spell better? Does he grow into his spell? If you're wrestling to get the ball out of his hands, it suggests that he's got a fair case to stay on.
I think as a youngster, I think he didn't like to be taken off, but generally I think the numbers did say that his spells would tail off a little bit. It's probably statistically they're not too dissimilar now, but I think it would be about energy on the ball, and you want to still make sure that you're a wicket-taking threat, even though all bowlers want to bowl all the time.
That's nice from Bamba. Challenging that off stump again. You just see Kimber bringing the bat face down on that one. This is the spot, though, where there's just big doubt, isn't there? The batter...
His angle into Bamba, real threat of off stump, not too dissimilar again to some deliveries we've seen with that angle in and that nip away down the slope. Kimber able to deal with that.
That was dismissed. Short and wide and given the treatment by Kimber. Lovely shot, standing up tall.
You saw just at the end there a little shake of the head from Bamba. That will disappoint the Middlesex opening bowler. Short and wide. And Kimber just dismissive as he back foot drives that down towards the mound stand for 4 runs.
Good finish to the over from Bamba, right on the spot. He and Fernandez go to collect points to make sure there's no run into the 11th. 58 for 3. Now let's have a look at this one. This was the dismissal of Patel from the umpire's perspective. You see that left arm go up from Bamba. We thought we had a good view. It's not bad for the umpire either, is it?
Yeah, you'd take it, wouldn't you? Looking back towards the pavilion on a Saturday morning at the home of cricket. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday, even if you are having to umpire.
There are worse views in the world, Coley. Can you think of any?
Excluding my view now, or as I look at you across the microphones?
He's right on the spot again. This is going to be the interesting matchup, though. Pete Hanscom, brought in by Stuart Law, the then coach, as Middlesex captain. Just didn't score the runs that he would have wanted to for Middlesex. One of his finest hours indeed was a near run chase for Middlesex at the Oval with Nick Gubbins. Where Middlesex were going great guns in what appeared an unlikely chase, but then the heavens opened and it was all over for Middlesex as time ran out on what would have been a fantastic run chase. And not that he needed, Pete Hanscom's achieved enough in the game, hasn't he, really? But he'll obviously be disappointed he wasn't able to score more for Middlesex in his time with the club.
He struggled with sort of bowls and LBWs quite a bit, Hanscom, in his time at Middlesex, and you can see here just a bigger stride, looking to get down the pitch a little bit more, which is a slight adaptation from the method that Middlesex members and supporters would have seen in those seasons of 2021 and 22.
Both he and Stuart Law, when they took over, there was a fair old change around happening in Middlesex. It was the shift from that title-winning team towards, well, what we see now, where, as we said, the two players coming in, the last of the two title winners. That's a beaut from Higgins, drawing Hanscom across with that slope, keeping its line though.
Yes, I think you're right there, Kev. If the chronology of it, David Milan left at the end of 2019. That was the first year that Stuart Law was in charge. Ollie Rayner, similar sort of time. Stephen Finn ended with the club in 2021. So a hell of a lot of change in and around that period that Peter Hanscom.
Lovely from Hanscom. They're putting it up there to give it a chance, bring LBW into play, get that edge into play as well. But Hanscom has responded with a couple of off drives. This one makes it all the way. End of the 12th, 62 for 3.
Repeat of the previous over here from Hanscom. Higgins very full again, trying to get that ball to move. Hanscom beautifully balanced off drive, back up towards the pavilion steps. And a great shot for 4 runs, taking his own score on to 7. But as you say, a tricky time, I think you'd say, for Stuart Law and Hanscom in that huge period of change. A lot of players moved on from the club or left the club. I don't know if I mentioned Nick Gubbins obviously went to Hampshire in and around that time as well. So that was almost the end of the championship winning side and the start of this team that we're seeing here today at Lords. So, but you spoke about Hanscom's influence in and around the group in the change room. He's a fantastic captain and leader, although he's not captaining this Leicestershire side. He's a very good man to have in your ranks.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it, with a player returning to a former county. You always think, can he get him early? Bowler looks to come back and make an impact. A batter looks to come back and score runs.
I mean, you'd say 3 wickets, very much Middlesex's first hour. I'd be disappointed with the run rate. I know a few nicks that have gone through the slips and past the wicketkeeper for 4 runs have enhanced that a little bit, but Middlesex will be disappointed to concede 60 runs in the first hour, but will be very much hopeful that they can pick up a couple more wickets before the lunch break in this second hour.
it's beautifully timed. It's got a chance. We've talked about how big this boundary is. Obviously, there's been a bit of moisture on that outfield as well. It's just going to hold up. Long chase for Mark Stoneman. So he's trimmed that beard a bit. He's thrown me a couple of times trying to identify him in the fields. But more runs for Kimber. 3 of them taken. I think this is the first ball for Hanscom against Bamber. He's taking his guard now, yes.
Keeper Jack Davies standing back here. So you'd expect Hanscom to try and look to get out to Bamber here, get down the wicket, take a couple of dismissals out of play.
Solid from Hanscom. Two for 22 for Ethan Bamber. Good again from both. Asking the question. Bamber, a nod of the head from Hanscom, but a very solid defence from the Leicestershire number 5. Yeah, Hanscom just turned 33 the other day from Melbourne, Victoria. Can keep wicket. I don't think he ever took the gloves for Middlesex, or if he did, it was certainly not from the start of the match, whether he filled in at any point in the game. But 20 test, average of 37.2. 2 centuries, 5 50s in 35 innings for the Australian Test side. 20 ODI innings as well, from 22 games with 1 century and 4 50s. 2 T20 internationals as well. First class average of 39 and nearing. Just gone past, well, he's gone fairway past 10,000, 10,582 in first class for Hanscom. Just about to approach another milestone. Quite a milestone number of balls faced in first class cricket. Just about to hit 20,000 first class deliveries faced.
I'd say it's a milestone if you bat like you or I do, Kev.
It's a lot of balls, Colin.
It is.
Oh, it's a good shot. Picks out the field though.
Just a bit of swing from Higgins there, away from the right-handed Kimber. Looks impressive, Kimber, so far for his 18. Tall batter. He's used his feet well. Scored quite well through that mid-wicket region, as we've seen, with a couple of lovely clip shots. That's a lovely ball. Good way to end the over from Higgins. 65 for 3 after 14.
Cheers for that. Thanks, Alan Coleman, the Director of Cricket at Middlesex, getting us up and running. In this match, we're up and running on the second day after a frustrating first day here at Lord's. But beautiful blue skies have greeted the first hour of play. And a fruitful first 14 overs for Middlesex. Eighth over on the bounce for Bamba. Surely going to be his last. Nagging length from the right arm seamer again this morning. That's a nice stop at mid-wicket. We were discussing Tim Murtagh and his career at Middlesex, which really only came to life in his mid to late 20s. This man's able to benefit from working with the old boy. Solid from Hanscom once more. Got 99 against Northants, Pete Hanscom, 68 against Derbyshire, 51 against Sussex, 26 in that first match at Leeds against Yorkshire. Last century was in the Shield for Victoria against New South Wales at Sydney in February. Finished off with 0 and 71 against Tasmania at Hobart and none and 6 versus Western Australia at Melbourne. A strong start to the season for Leicestershire. He's at least got a start in his 4 innings so far. On 3 occasions he's got a 50. And that'll usher him on in this one into double figures. Down the slope it races, lowest point to the ground. Down at the bottom of the mound, just a little bit of width. Dragging it down towards the end of his spell. It's very good from Bamba. Nice finish to the over. Probably a finish to the spell for Bamba. 2 for 26 from his 8 overs. Picked up the 2 openers, Patel and Harris. Quite see if there was the pad on the back to end the spell for him. Brooks will be champing at the bit to get in amongst this. As that build up a cloud, it was really rolling banks of cloud. It still is to some extent, but they've tightened up a little bit more. Wind coming in from behind the pavilion today, which is due southwest, southwest. It's died on the way through. Mentioned the early season conditions, damp. Underfoot still, lots of rain again, so the chance for the grounds to start to dry out a little bit for the summer. Not quite happened for the conditions just yet. That will affect the pace, affect the bounce. That's why the talking points down at Bristol are about that hybrid. That's where the likes of Higgins in particular, but also Bamba, not quite as tall as Roland Jones and Brooks in this Middlesex attack. Be looking just to keep it full on that off stump. Needs those the two to make the breakthrough so far, with the skipper withdrawing himself after 4 overs. Watchfully done. Kimber will both be thinking they need to settle in here, Hanscom and Kimber. Ideally through until lunch. And a long way through the afternoon session as well, but 3 down in the first hour. Smells danger for the batting side in the first session of the game. Quite what he intended, Kimber, on his toes. And that's where Higgins will be asking these questions on that kind of length. A fraction full, a fraction short of. And they're pretty much the perfect length. Back foot, front foot. Right on that spot to leave the batter slightly in doubt. Good little crowd in as well, as you can see behind Higgins there this morning. Beautiful day for it today. How many would have even bothered making the journey yesterday with the forecast as it was? Davies has come up for this one, the Middlesex keeper. Scoreboard's just fallen behind slightly. That is the end of the over. 16 done. 71 for 3. We can have a look and see how the game's progressing elsewhere. There was plenty of wickets falling in the Somerset-Essex game yesterday. Twenty of them indeed fell on day one in that match. Essex are 53 for 3 in their second innings, leading Somerset by 81 runs. 128 for Somerset, 156 for Essex in the first innings of those games. Kent at Lancashire, 203 for 7. Start delayed there at Old Trafford. 3 games in Division 2, all underway. Derbyshire 254 for 9 at home to Sussex. Leicestershire 65 for 3 here, 69 for 3 here at Lords indeed, as the skipper brings himself back on. Roland Jones from the nursery end this time. Change of ends, change of fortunes. Roland Jones will hope the nursery end, with the slope as it is, can just help slightly the bounce of the bowler if you right arm over to a right-hander or left-hander, but try and angle it slightly up the slope. Not quite like Hove, where it's straight uphill from the sea end to the Cromwell Road ends, and you've got that inclination to bang the ball in on. Six were at Hove that day when Toby Roland Jones took all those wickets against South Africa. I think it was a T20 that night at Hove. Already pulled up that morning and watched Roland Jones running in for England. Oh, it's a nice little tickle, just off the stumps, but watchfully done by Hanscom. Spot that Roland Jones will want to be on against his former skipper. That's nicely done. Long leg will hold him to a single. Swivelling. To pick up the single, Kimber. Nudges towards 20. But at the moment, the important columns here. The wicket column, number of balls faced for the batters. Get some overs into the bowler's legs. Get that over count in the bottom left up as well. Lovely shot down the ground. This will take some chasing with the slope. Might just be pulled up. That's a brilliant piece of work by Bamba. Great piece of camera work as well. Flicked back in by Bamba and retrieved by Robson. On the run behind his teammate. Saves the single, but every little helps. Works fine to end the over. Single more, 6 off it from Roland Jones's return. He's gone for 37 now from his 5. But attacking, going after the stumps, and you concede runs when you do that. There's the shape up so far. With that, Roland Jones's figures, done for 37 from 5. Again, he's been aggressive, he's been attacking. Higgins and Bamba have been as well. Just trying to extract that little bit more pace and bounce. Perhaps Roland Jones is trying to see what's in this surface. Brooks McGiven is going a little while, the quickest of the Middlesex attack by far. All starts for the 4 so far, or 4 of the 5 so far. Kimber, Harris, Hanscom and Patel all getting into double figures. Someone needs to go on for the visitors. Always in the battle. Always in the game, Ryan Higgins. Enjoyed his return to Bristol last week with a century. Would have enjoyed it more with a win to take back along the M4. Yes, that award in hand for us up here earlier for Higgins, the April Player of the Month. There we are, just in that channel, asking Leicestershire if they can score runs on that length, on that line. Not only asking, can they survive, can they defend it? Runs won't be at the forefront of Hanscom or Kimber's mind at the moment. No ball. That'll frustrate Higgins. Bowlers equally, if you're not taking wickets, you at least want to keep the runs count down. Slightly withdrew the length on that one, Higgins. Kimber patient in the crease, playing it late. Solid again from both. Little game of cat and mouse. Keep it in that channel, keep it on that line, keep it on that length. What comes first? Over pitch, drag down. In judgment from the batter. Oh, there we go. That little bit of difference as well then from Higgins, just angling that one back in. Seeing if he can find something with the slope. That's the pair they've got to try and break. Came together with the score on 50 for 3 when Hill fell. It's there or thereabouts where Roland Jones wants to leave it at the moment. Hanscom will be patient. He was at Middlesex, he wasn't. Endless poor shots from Hanscom. And there is a lovely shot. One of the things that Middlesex did see in Hanscom's time was a gorgeous cover drive, and there's another example of it. Remember, one of the matches was against Hampshire here at Lord's. Kevin James, former Middlesex and Hampshire all-rounder. Watching Hanscom play that cover drive, of course, there's a certain Hampshire top-order batter, James Vince, renowned for his cover drives. JMO was pretty impressed with the cover drive of the then Middlesex captain as well. Mainly remember it being a real challenge from the LBW. That moving ball, full of a length, early season in England was a real challenge. It's a nice tickle, but no run. Just working with the ball on that off stump, which is what they're forced to do at the moment. End of the 19th. There was one other match to tell you about in the Championship as we were going around the game today. That's the match at Headingley. Yorkshire taking on Glamorgan, 162 for 5. Glamorgan, 51 for Roots, 40 for Ingram, not out. He's just lost Cook, gone for 24. Moriarty with a couple of wickets for the Yorkies. Code and Bess with a single wicket apiece for them, so 162 for 5. There's that little bit of width we were talking about. You wait for the bowler error. So I have to talk about batter error, but this is the key for Kimber and Hanscom at the moment. Just see if they offer a little bit of width. Drag one down. And you pick up a single, which will frustrate Kimber. Doesn't get it through. Oh, another look at the ball for the umpires. We've already had one change this morning. Derbyshire all done against Sussex. They're in between innings there. Derbyshire all out for 246. Sussex, one of the early pace setters. Victory against Gloucestershire. They've skittled Derbyshire for 246 with 2 for Hudson Prentice, 2 for Coles, 2 for Robinson. Hudson Prentice on his return to Derby. Actually, the wickets well shared for Derbyshire in that one. There was also one for Seals, Lamb, Clark, and only poor old Carson, 2 overs, none for 7, missing out. 50 for East, 44 Donalds, 47 for Tickner. Sussex had won the toss there, elected to fields there. Replies underway indeed, 2 without loss in the opening over. Clark and Haynes opening up. Going to be over 82 for 3, and partnership worth 33. For this 4th wicket now. Here comes Henry Brooks into the attack for the first time, signing from Warwickshire in the winter. Extra bit of pace to the Middlesex attack. No Tom Helm for this one. Rotated out. Roland Jones rotated back in. Brooks seen as a canny signing by Middlesex, not going with an overseas this year. Instead have made 2 domestic signings in Brooks and Deploy on a Hungarian passport. Qualifies for England next year. Brooks, Midlander. Just drifts down the leg side, down the slope. Right arm over to the right hander. As soon as it starts on that line, it's always going down. Solihull born. 35 first-class matches now. 94 wickets. Average is nearly 38. But in England under 19, Birmingham Phoenix men, Birmingham Bears. His first-class debut in 2017 for Warwickshire against Essex. Played the first game of the season here against Glamorgan. Just 1 for 69 in that Kookaburra game where Sam Northeast unleashed on Middlesex, breaking Graham Gooch's 333 at Lords. Middlesex then went and racked up their own record, their highest score at Lords, the highest domestic score at Lords. Kookaburra rounds, remember them, eh? Short, given the treatment, but not all the way he's gone. Hold out, Kimber. Goodness me, it's the short boundary. He hasn't cleared it, though. He's put it straight down the throat of Ethan Bamber. The extra little bit of pace for Brooks. And the wicket that Middlesex desperately wanted, that 4th one to break this partnership before lunch. All the defiance from Kimber and Hanscom. But he goes after a short one, wasn't quite there, didn't get hold of it. Dropped in short. Had a fair look at it with the slope. The angle was there. But he's put it straight down the throat of Bamber. Scooped it up into the hands of the fielder at deep square. Catch in practice in the end rather than a full-blooded hook. I don't know whether he was just caught between Yes, thank you very much. He was just caught between two minds of whether he was just steering or whether he was giving it a full-blooded hook. He didn't do either really in the end. Well, he did just steer it. That's a blow for Leicestershire. Heavy blow landed by Middlesex. 83, the 4th wicket of the morning. Hanscom's wicket becomes even more prize now for Middlesex. Rehan Ahmed makes his way to the middle. It's about Brooks being England under 19. Well, here's a youngster bashing down the doors. His fledgling career. Turned 20 in August. Nottingham lads. 4 tests for England now. Picked up 18 wickets at an average of 34. His batting in first-class cricket, it was with an average just below 30, 1 century and 5 50s to his name. Leicester just need him to have some time in the middle at the moment. That's a nice ball and nice start. So he's inside that one to end the over, resisting, as I'm sure Kimber probably wishes that he had. The short boundary to the left, the downfall for Kimber. Thought he could clear it, he couldn't. And that card looking pretty good, just as Middlesex hoped on winning the toss and putting Leicestershire in this morning. Match which has already lost a day to rain, may well lose a fair bit more. The hosts here at Lord's fancying that they needed to get a head start with the ball if there was a chance of forcing victory in this match. And they've done so. Raise the eyebrow. And the coin fell and Middlesex chose to bowl. Validated so far. These 4 wickets, if they could grab another one before lunch, they've still got more than half an hour, with lunch being delayed, or put back indeed, due to the making up of overs from yesterday. Playing 104 overs to make up from those 96 lost on day 1 here at Lord's. There's the spot. Aaron Jones will just want to hold, test this 19-year-old. Something of a prodigy already. field. As Roland Jones will try and probe on a full length on that off stump. Holden doing the feeling. Not quite a prodigy himself, Roland Jones. Had to bang on the Zora a few times before he managed to get in. Middlesex Academy player who's an opening bat at that time. Led away to Surrey, their second 11. Middlesex plucked him back. The rest is history. There you go, testing that length again. Holden it is. Plugging the covers. End of the 23rd, 84 for 4. This is the live stream from Lord's Middlesex Live Enhanced stream from Dafferbet. Principal sponsor of Middlesex, bringing you the live stream from Lord's. Myself, Kevin Hand, in the seat for this one. Started well for the hosts. How well can they finish the session? Feels as though Hanscom's got the bit between his teeth here. Always did for Middlesex though. It's never the want of trying. He always looked determined. His calmness when leaving the field as well, and his calmness when returning to the dressing room, even in failure with the bat, was something that Stuart Law, I know in particular, was keen for him to leave an imprint on the dressing room in that sense. How you play your game, how you approach it, how you react, how you come back. Stuart Law, now the USA coach, head coach. Just drop him a message, see if he needs any media assistance at his base in New York or wherever he is. Must have mocked up all of the westerns for him so far. There's a new sheriff in town. Surely the social media account in the USA are all over that. The lawman, as he was, or the judge, as he was nicknamed. It was an Australian affair back then with the head coach Australian and the captain Pete Hanscom. Middlesex affair at the moment. Richard Johnson. The head coach Alan Coleman, the director of cricket, who was up with us on the mic earlier. Toby Roland Jones, very much Middlesex man. Sunbury, the captain as well. A New Zealander on the balcony. Spike, the masseuse. Masseur indeed. I was right first time, masseuse. The fellow who does the massages we've settled on. 86 for 4 in the morning session here. So a watchful hold for Leicestershire, this pair now. Wicket of Kimbrell just slow things down again. Rain those shots back in for the Foxes pair. We're going to have another look. See a little bit of a change in the skyline. First bit of cloud cover at Lord's this morning. It may not be the end of the world for the Middlesex bowlers. Ball reaches its 30th over, maybe just starts to come to life a little bit. Lacquer comes off, bit of cloud cover overhead. Weather coming in from pretty much over the back of the block of flats that you just saw in the top left of your screen there. Well, he had one look at that a moment ago. He's having another look at it now. Umpire Baldwin. Gonna have to find another one, umps. Need a third ball of the morning, a second replacement. Umpires come together and have a look. Lovely little idea of the ball. Oh, come on, umps, you just stood in shot. You see the real... You can see... Now, does it go through? One way, then the other. No, new ball, please. Bring back the Kookaburra. Lovely idea, though, of working on the ball, though. The shine, you can see it there, the slightly pinkier side to the right. dark red to the left. You see, umps, I told you, it was out of shape. You wouldn't listen to me. I was telling you this 2 overs ago, umps. You wouldn't have it, would you? You just get on with bowling, Toby. How's Alan Coleman's magic box of balls? Now, how's your luck with this one? Little guts at the games. It'll all be making up a bit of time, I'd imagine, from yesterday. I don't know if Somerset Essex got a full day. You'd imagine with the 20 wickets that fell, they did. Oh, short, down the leg side. It was bat or glove. Something deflected. 83 for 4, Essex still holding on there. They lead by 111. It's really shaping up nicely, that one. Cox 14, Critchley 10. Kent are 217 for 7. So they're underway at Old Trafford at last in that one. End of the over here, 26 done, 88 for 4. Aaron Higgins into the attack from the nursery end for the first time. Started up from the pavilion. 1 for 14 from 6. from Higgins right on the spot. Aaron Ahmed defending once more. Yeah, the change of ends. See how it goes, nipping it away. A bit back up the slope. You just wonder, is this end slightly better suited for Higgins? We'll see. Deep points back, and you can see deep, long leg at the top of your screen. Deep points just out of shot, and imagine that's where Higgins is determined not to just allow Ahmed to sit on the front foot, try and bring those slips into play. There is a mid wicket as well, keep it straight, but I want it too full that the batter can just sit forward. Well, that one's edged, and edged into the gap. No deep third, deep points there. Boundary it is. Aaron Ahmed's first. Dabbed by Hanscom. Quietly about his business out there at the moment, Pete Hanscom. There's obviously a bit of personal pride back at Lords, but also his team need him at the moment. 4 down in the morning session, a 5th wicket before lunch. They've still got more than 10 minutes, Middlesex. Decent start from Brooks, just 5 runs. A wicket, of course. Hanscom easing into that one. You can just see a little bit more of a reflection of a batter who's getting in. 43 deliveries faced. End of the over, 94 for 4, 10 minutes to lunch on the second day. So we approach the end of the first session of the match. Washout on day one. Good start for Bamber, a couple of wickets. Patel and Harris going early. When Hill fell at 50 for 3, Middlesex starting to rub their hands together. Kimber defied them for a while. He'll be disappointed with his shot. Holding out to Bamber at deep square, giving Brooks his wicket. Higgins has nipped in with one as well. Middlesex have stuck at it, persistently bowling at those stumps. That's a useful bit of width though. Aaron Ahmed with a glorious looking off drive. Good stop by Bamber, slides to flick it back in. They've taken 3. Long run from Bamber from mid-off. There's the spot. Just want to leave it there and wobble it. Test the inside edge, test the outside edge. Good again from both. Hansom's defence has been solid this morning, barely put a foot wrong. Higgins will probe that though. And again, from the nursery end, I just wondered, does he have that better chance? You're really worried about that ball slipping away down the slope as a right-hander, bringing your outside edge into play, but Higgins will dart one back up the slope as well. And that's run nicely. Angle bat. Soft hands, head over the ball, waiting on it, patiently done. The story of his morning. Patient Pete Hanscom. Brings up the 100 as well for Leicestershire as they take 3, 100 for 4. Just about swinging it back towards something close to an even session. 3 down, Leicestershire would have been delighted, I think, this morning. Middlesex be happy with their work 4. They'll be greedy though, they'll want one more. Close there, another edge. Almost edged that off middle. Eskenazi retrieving. Offering of hope for Higgins. 9 off the over, 3 threes. 2 of them down to deep third, the vacant deep third. Solid end to the over for both. 103 for 3 after 29. Decent crowd in the pavilion today. I'd hope in May, one of the first good days of the season. Temperature up slightly. a drier day than yesterday, crucially. Ponytail's gone for Pete Hanscom. Went out to toss the coin here with Rory Burns a few years back, and it was mentioned, had there ever been two skippers going out with ponytails to toss the coin. Lords had never seen the like. Middlesex have seen a few tall, nasty bowlers running in from the pavilion end over the years. Learn a bit about himself bowling on the slope. Still Henry Brooks, just taken out Gully and put him into mid-wicket, 5-4 field. Ooh, goes block hole. Slow ball it looked like, bit of loop on it. Works with the length of that one, Hanscom, just worked away. That's a deep square. Gives you a little idea of the pace as well, though. Really sat up. Hanscom steering. Just the man to find a little bit of pace in this surface. It's Henry Brooks. Blue sky starting to disappear. Drifting over the top of the water to the right of the screen there. It's more filled in to the left behind the tavern. All we see those blue skies again today. Good over again for Brooks. This is solid from him. 1 for 7 from 5. Middlesex will be pleased with this. He's almost the battering ram, but he's acting as the economy man as well. He's on a good length. He's challenged them with shorter balls and has picked up a wicket with one indeed. But a good economy, and that's what you want. Put the squeeze on, keep it tight. 1 over to go then until the interval. By the time we get back, will there be any glimpse of blue left? We'll have to wait and see. A few in those stands hoping there will be. Grandstand's shut for this one. But that sun will come across atop the pavilion and slip down behind the Warner as you look at the screen there. So those in the tavern and the mound, I hope for some afternoon and evening sun. Here's a man who's had his day in the sun already this year, and he'll hope for plenty more. Nathan Fernandez, a century in his first class innings. First Middlesex player to score a century in his first class innings batting for the club. Was at Northamptonshire in the second round when Sam Robson was out with that thumb injury. He's back for the first time. But Fernandez with the ball, no Josh DeCaries for this one. Mr. Ploy will be a bowling option. Sam Robson will be as well, assuming the thumb is okay. I think it's his right thumb as well that was the problem. But Fernandez, a little bit of left arm spin First got into the Middlesex side as a spinner. That was as T20 bowler last year, played in 7 T20s. Oh, goodness me, push back to him. Spinner to spinner, young spinner to young spinner as well. Indeed, it's Middlesex's man. He's got a few days on Aaron Ahmed, turned 20 a couple of weeks ago. But there is lunch, 108 for 4. Middlesex's session. Leicester will be happy with Hanscom's 28 from 52. Work to be done though, of course. And Ahmed 16 from 34. Good support from Rehan for Hanscom. As you'll probably just be picking up on the PA, Ryan Higgins, PCA Player of the Month for April. He's about to be presented with that trophy that we had up here earlier. I suppose we had to give it back to him if they needed it down there on the fields. Double century in the match against Glamorgan here. Century against Gloucestershire last week. Middlesex's gun player last year. He's made a fantastic start. There's Radders, Clive Radley. What a legend. Leicester fans, I'm sure, will fondly remember Radders as a player as well. Hands over the award, a pat on the back, and from the skipper as well. Rory Coots and Ian Salisbury, coaches down there as well. Applauded them off. So lunch it is, 108 for 4. Now, we're going to have to do a reset on the stream this morning. It's like a glitch we've had in the system. So we're going to lose the stream in the lunch hour, but we'll be back with you for the start of the second session. So don't panic when the screen disappears on you in a moment. We're just going to do a reset, sort out a few technicals here at Lord's. But join us back, 1:52 is the resumption. Lunch here, Leicestershire having been put in, 108 for 4.